Hello, this is a OneVue Unified Systems proof of concept demonstration developed with IBM watsonx technologies for healthcare. Introduction. OneVue Unified Systems is a digital cloud platform that is designed to create automated connections and synchronization between existing healthcare software programs and systems. Then it causes them to run as one unified platform. Now, by implementing OneVue into your healthcare environment, let's say you have 50 employees that go about their daily work processing all of the information that they do. But now adding OneVue to that healthcare environment is like having 500 highly skilled employees to perform those same daily tasks. Now, what would the efficiency be and the productivity be with 500 skilled people instead of 50? All right, now let's take a look at the OneVue home screen. This is the OneVue interface. Over here to the left, we have recent activities, healthcare data, the OneVue AI praxis, and over here we have navigation through the different systems, patient management, doctor's management, pathology, AI requests, and the advanced search. Now over here to the right, we have what are integrated applications, like your email, your calendar, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all Microsoft technologies from Microsoft 365. Now, on the other side of this, we're also connected to all of your healthcare systems, like Epic, for example. We have IBM Informix, Cognos, DB2, Oracle, Veradigm, Oracle, Salesforce, PeopleSoft. And understand, because OneVue is customizable, this could be any group of software systems, platforms, applications that any particular hospital environment may use for their healthcare services. This is just a sample of some of the platforms that can be integrated with OneVue along with the data in the applications. Okay, let's go a little bit further down the home screen here. So here we have my Teams channel. In this case, we're using Microsoft Teams as our collaboration system, right? Now here I can see all of the connected individual users across my organization. Of course, this is sample data. But I can have the name of every user across the entire healthcare system or within a specific department in my healthcare environment, right? And I could communicate with any one of those users or practitioners almost with just one click. And look how OneVue brings me exactly precisely to a chat with this particular employee. And I can have an actual phone conversation, an audio call with them, a video call with them, and I can add other people to it. I can chat with them without actually creating a formally timed collaboration session. I can do this at any time of the day with any of the users if I needed to communicate with them. Just one simple click, and we're communicating. Over here to the right, we have what we call system messages. Now, what this means is that OneVue, the interface itself, is looking at every application that I use, and it's creating points of efficiency for me. What do I mean by that? I mean that in this particular case, what it's doing is looking at my email. It's also looking at Teams, and it's looking at every other system where I communicate externally and or internally with people inside the organization or outside the organization. And it records those communications for me right here on my home page. Therefore, OneVue is talking to Teams and says, give me all of the messages that Daryl sent in Teams. Give me all of the email messages that Daryl sent out in Outlook today. Give me all of the messages that he received, all the attachments to all of the messages that he received. Everything that either went out or came in is posted right here for me in my OneVue interface. without me having to go to Teams, without me having to go to my collaboration system at all, without me having to opening up Outlook or whatever email system that I'm using. It brings it to me, creating a huge point of efficiency and time savings for everyone in the organization. Now let's move down to the middle part of the OneVue homepage. Now, remember, this is a healthcare POC, and we designed this POC specifically for the pathology department in healthcare, right? So we were able to communicate recently with some healthcare providers within one of the major healthcare systems in the state of Ohio, and we spoke with them to get a better understanding what are some of the challenges that they're dealing with and producing diagnoses for patients. What are some of the hangups? What are some of those items that take a lot of time to do? And we wanted to research to see if we could create efficiencies, if we could create automation for a lot of those different processes. And we were able to find that we were. So understanding that for that one particular healthcare system, we're willing to bet that we know, and according to the other practitioners and professionals in healthcare, they say these challenges range across the entire healthcare world, the entire healthcare industry. So here, remember, this can be customized to each healthcare environment to create those specific efficiencies and workflows for each healthcare environment. Okay. Now here we have some analytics, real-time analytics for pathology, for this sample demonstration. And here we're looking at the total amount of anatomic diagnoses, right? Positive illnesses. We're looking at the amount of available beds, the acute care beds, occupancy percentage or the rating, ICU census, and all kinds of other statistics and analytics. If you see those little circles moving across the screen, that's because it's a live stream update. This is not a picture. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is real-time data coming from multiple different systems within a specific healthcare environment. So this one data set here on staffing is connecting to one particular system, right? So is it for each of these other data sets. They're all connected to all different applications and different healthcare systems. But OneVue is causing all of them to work together to give us the data the way we need to see it so that we can better understand what is actually happening with pathology. How productive are we? Where are any changes needed if we need to make changes? We get better, accurate insights on everything that's going on so that we can improve our overall healthcare service. Now, here we have all of the forward-facing analytics and results that each of the pathologists are looking for, even the administrative group. But we can drill down into these numbers. But as you see, as I pass my cursor over the numbers, you see it highlights each and every data set as I move across it. So let's take a look here at this data in its native environment. Show as table. And here we go. So now we see the SQL Server table, right, that where this data is actually coming from. So we can see each of the groupings of the data and how it is developed and aggregated across the entire environment. Here we have ICU beds, ICU personnel, who's how many people we have in intensive care units, and so on. Right, and it does the same for this grouping down here by facility name. Remember, this data can be collected and it can be connected and it can be shown in any form that the organization needs to have it shown. So again, this is sample data for this particular environment. I can also change the view if it's preferable to see it this way. So we can drill down even further into the data and to see other points where all of the information is coming from. But here I'm going to take you back to the first screen, right? Because I want you to see some other items. I want you to see there are multiple tabs of data here. It's not just one page. We can create as many pages as your department or your healthcare environment need to show you the numbers, to show you stats, the information that helps you to make better decisions and adjustments to your individual department or to the healthcare environment overall. Now let's go back to the home page. Here we go. Now let's move further down the home page. Now here I have actual files that are created by the healthcare personnel, specifically the pathology department. So here I have 5 different groupings that we understand that they look at the most. Administrative files for pathology, pathology files, completed diagnoses, files that have been sent on to oncology, and LabCorp files. Now here I'm currently on administrative files, but let me show you this. It's not just these 5 groupings. Now I'll show you what they mean. But I actually have access to multiple libraries of data. Now the system that we have integrated here is Microsoft SharePoint. Doesn't look like SharePoint, but OneVue has integrated the power and the functionality of Microsoft SharePoint into the OneVue interface to make it easy for practitioners to create, to edit, to move, to share, to copy information any way they need to. Why you might say that make a difference is because we understand one system that this particular pathology department is using. When they make their diagnoses, they're not able, they're not able to edit the document once it's created. But here with OneVue, even if the document, the diagnosis, is sent on to oncology, it can always be edited and changed, and OneVue can keep track of each and every iteration of that specific diagnosis for that specific patient. So let me show you. I can create additional folders under administrative files right here, not on my desktop, but right here in the cloud environment. I could create Word files, Excel files, all right here where I need them to be, not creating them on my desktop or in some folder on my desktop, and then 2 days later, I don't remember what I named the file. That doesn't happen with OneVue because the system records everything you do and knows exactly what the user's behaviors are and can find every file for you instantaneously. Now, I can upload all of my existing files or folders or templates, if I have those, into my OneVue interface right here and make it so easy to manage all of my files the way I need them to be managed. Now, if you notice the menu here, I can create automated synchronization between my desktop and to my OneVue environment here. But I can also export data to Excel. I can create automations. I can integrate other systems. And I can also create alerts, then manage my alerts. If other persons have access to some of my files, right, I can get an alert to tell me that someone is about to make a change to a document that I may not want changes made to. And I can give that person approval or denial to make changes to that document. OneVue watches everything that everyone does. Okay, I've chosen this particular file here. But now look how my menu changes. I can open this particular file in a browser or on my desktop app. I can even open it in the immersive reader and have the system to read the document aloud for me. I can share it, right? I can get the link from where this document exists. I can delete it. I can make it a favorite. I can download it. I can rename it. I can create automations, right? I can move it. I can copy it. I can see all the properties to it. I can see all the versions of this document from its first inception up to its last edit. And a host of other features and functions I can see on this one particular document. Also, I have what we call the intelligence or the information button. And I can look at a nice preview of the file without even opening it, right? I can see all persons who have access to this file, and I can control and or manage the access to this specific file. I can also see all of the history and all of the activity with this file, where it's located, everything I need to know, file size, everything. With one simple click, I have all the information I need. Okay, let's move on. So now you're beginning to get a look and an understanding of what we mean when we say integration, right? So we have multiple applications and systems and platforms running just on this OneVue homepage. Here we have SharePoint, Microsoft technology. But here we also have other kinds of multiple different systems from within the hospital environment. It would take me 10 minutes to tell you all the different systems that the analytics system is connected to in order for it to give us these to quantify these amounts. And here at the top, we're looking at our Teams meetings, our Teams collaboration system. We're looking at email messages. We're looking at everything. We're looking at our chat. We have the IBM AI assistant right here. We have all our applications and platforms all integrated right here. But let's get to some more interesting stuff. Here, let's take a look at healthcare data. Now, we call this the grid for patients. We also have one for doctors. Right now, we're going to look at the grid for patients. Here you can see I have the patient ID, the date the record was created on, and I can edit that date and time if I needed to. But if you want the system to keep record, the system will automatically keep date and time specifically as to when the record was created. I have a patient's first name, last name, age, gender, native language, resident country, home address, and so on and so forth. Now, these are the normal demographic information on each and every patient, right? True, this is example data, this is dummy data, but we need you to see that the system works and it is collecting data from multiple systems within the hospital environment. So, for example, this demographic data is being collected from Epic, right? Now, when we get a little further down the screen here, we start to look at the medications that are prescribed and the diagnoses for the medication, the actual amount of the medication. This is coming from an entirely different system. This is coming from the pharmacy, but we have that data bound and connected to each and every patient accurately. Then, as we can see the doctor assigned, we can see whether that patient is in the hospital or the in-hospital location. We can see if that patient if that patient is an outpatient. We can see the initial pathology report, right? And we can see all of the other, if they were previously in the hospital, pathology notes, it says C report, and we'll be able to see that in a moment. If there are LabCorp results or data from LabCorp, it could be listed here. The report sent on to the oncology department, we see no, yes, no, yes, as it was accurately done. The date the file was modified on, if it was modified, and the time zone for which this patient exists and the services were performed. Now, we talked about synchronization in the introduction. If you notice here to the right, it says edit. It has an edit button for each and every patient, each and every record. Now, this data is coming from what we call the Dataverse, which is the real back end to this whole system. It is the point where all the data is collected and all the integration points are made. Then it is reflected here in the OneVue interface, which makes it easy to understand and to use by the practitioners. Here I can actually create the edit button and edit any one of these records, provided that that user has the credentials to do so. But when an edit is made here, it is changed all the way back to the native environment in which that data comes from. For example, in the demographic information, if I was to change this person's first name, it would change it all the way back in the Epic system. Wow, that's powerful. But it would also keep record of that change and who made the change, when they made the change, and what time they made the change. I can also do things like create filters. Let's say by the last name. As you see, and it puts it in alphabetical order, right? And now we can see all of the different patients by last name or by any of the titles of the columns that we have. We can create a filter. Wow, with one simple click. If I'm ready and if I'm done, I can put it right back where it was and everything is back in its normal order. Just like that. One simple click. And I have a powerful feature and function to show me the information the way I need to see it. Now here's my grid for the doctors. I can see everything about each and every one of the doctor's name, their specialty, the hospital they're assigned to, their contact information, whether they're board certified, their service locations, right? The hospital location, and other information that is required. Remember, this is all customizable the way the hospital environment wants it to be. Okay, let's go back home. Now, let's go take a look at the patient environment or the patient management system. Forgive me. So now we've seen the grid of all the data from all the different systems come into the OneVue interface. Now we're going to take a look at some of the intelligence as to how OneVue breaks this data out and can use it. So here we have what we call digital subject cards or our patient management system. So let's take a look at one of the patients here. So this patient, Mr. Joseph Williams, is obviously a patient, it says so. But he has an illness of cardiovascular disease. He's in hospital on medication. Okay, so the system automatically generates this card. No one types any of this stuff. OneVue intelligently can look at each of the patients and create a digital subject card with a photo automatically of that patient. Capture all of the data related to that patient and make it available in a single, what we call a subject card. Now allow me to show you what that means. Let's take a look. Now, associated files for patient Joseph Williams, right? Now, here we have the patient ID, and we can see it's consistent. The date that this record was created on, of course, it's sample data, so it's all going to be the same. But we have his first name, last name, his age, his gender, his native language, right? Everything, the doctor that's assigned to this patient, the medications that have been assigned to this to this patient, his actual diagnoses, all right, how much of those medications have been dispensed, right? We can see all these different things collected from all the different systems in one single look, right? You see all this other information with just one simple click. Now, that's the patient's detail. Now, for pathology, let's take a look at all the specimen samples. You have to remember, specimens come from a whole separate system. But with OneVue, we don't have to go into all these individual systems, write stuff down on paper like doctors normally have to do today. OneVue will go to those systems and bring that information and associate it automatically and perfectly for each and every patient. Wow. So here we have the solid tissue anatomic pathology, and we have the cytology anatomic pathology specimens for this specific patient. I didn't have to make any other clicks but one, just to go to the specimen samples tab. Now I see everything about this patient. I see all of the specimens. I can see who created the specimen, when it was created, the date, and everything. And if a second image was created, if it was modified, I could see who created the modification and when they created the modification. This gives me so much more efficiency and creates great productivity for each and every doctor in the pathology department. All right, let's go to the next section. Here is the actual pathology report created by the doctor. Now he or she can create these reports much faster and much more accurately without having to log into different systems, then getting phone calls, then having to go to a meeting, and somebody else is calling, and the disruptions are constant. The system is taking care of most of this work for the doctor, making it easy for him to concentrate and be able to understand better what he or she is focused on. Now let's take a look at the actual anatomic pathology report. Well, here it is, nice and neatly done, with the preferred specimen in on pathology report. This is the focus. Everything is here, and now the doctor can add, or if you want to say, send the completed pathology report over to oncology for observation. But at the same time, they can host, with one simple click, a collaboration session on the pathology report, look at the specimen samples, and look at all the patient data and make a well-informed decision on each and every patient with one or two simple clicks. All the data is made available to them instead of having to log into different multiple systems, writing stuff down, and all of that stuff. Those are the days of the past. Now let's look at this last tab, the pathology type research. Okay. So today there are multiple different systems that pathologists have to go online, log into a particular application on the web, put their credentials in, then search for the information that they need on this particular case, for this particular patient. You don't have to do that anymore. With OneVue, OneVue automatically understands that you need to go and open up a browser in order to do the research on the patient. But it can go to those specific sites for each and every doctor, for each and every one of his or her patients, right? And it can look up the information that the doctor would normally look up. It can go to all of the best locations or specific locations that the doctor would go to and log in for you and go directly to the data that the doctor needs to see on this particular patient. Wow. Types of heart medications, American Heart Association, right? Some common prescribed include, right, all of these other types of things that doctors would look at in order to look at cardiovascular disease. Everything specific, videos, everything, excuse me, specifically in relation to heart failure medication and cardiovascular disease. All right here. You don't even have to open up your browser. You don't have to type in words anymore. You don't have to type in the web address. OneVue will do all that for you. Oh, by the way, we are looking at data off of the web, but we're not using a web browser. We're looking at data on the web, let me repeat, but we didn't open a web browser. The only way I know of looking at information on the web is with a web browser. We're not using a web browser. How does OneVue integrate the capabilities of the web and allow you complete visibility into everything and anything that you may need that's on the web, all placed in one area with one simple click without even opening a web browser? Wow. Okay, that's patient data. Let's take a look at one more patient just real quick, just so you can see. This patient has meningitis. Okay, let's take a look at that. Here's all the information and the patient ID on this patient, Sumi Tomlin, her age, gender, everything, native language, specimens for this particular patient, the cytology, right? The pathology report, all right here, and the pathology type research. Everything on meningitis, right here. Look at that, completely interactive. Health guides, ask an expert, diet plans, everything for you. It does all of this for you. So you don't have to go look it up or remember what are the sites that I normally go to for meningitis. OneVue remembers all of that for you. Truly, truly a healthcare assistant. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to the home page. We're almost done. All right. As you can see, it refreshes the data because it's not a picture. All the data is live. There we go. All the data is live. Everything is live and brand new. It refreshes itself constantly. But let's take a look at the doctor's management system now. Right. And here we have all the information on the doctor. So we have everything from A to Z on all of the doctors. We list them by name. So it just wouldn't be efficient to put them all on one page. So here we're starting out with the A's, Andrew, Alan, Anita, and so on, right? But here we can see the doctor's name, right? The diseases that they study or provide healthcare for. We can even have documents that the physician prefers to have, that he or she may refer to on a regular basis. And they can access those files, as many as they want, right here with one simple click. They don't have to remember where it is, what the name of that file was, where did I put it. If he works on cardiovascular disease and meningitis and other illnesses, he can have those files available to him right here. One click, without having to look up anything or remembering file names. Now, let's take a look at his profile. Now, this is doctor's information. So here is Dr. Alan Grande, right? His specialty and all the information, his service locations. This doctor serves at 2 hospitals, West Hospital and East Hospital. His location, his main location, is at General Hospital South, right? And all of his other information, right? All right here in one place. Now, let's take a look at the patients diagnosed by this doctor. Here's a complete list of all of the patients. Jenny, Joseph Williams, Jenny again, and Hannah. You might say, why Jenny is skipped? Well, because there are specific dates and times that this patient may have come in January, And then she may have come in again in March. So that's why you see the order in which they're in. Hannah Jocelyn is also one of his patients. And we can see when she came in. You can see all of the specific information on each and every specific patient that this doctor provides healthcare for. All of their information right here. Normally, the doctor would have to go back and forth into multiple different systems to see this information. All of his patients right here in one place, and he can have access to any of that information that he needs in one single look. Wow, powerful. Now, I think you really get the gist of what OneVue Unified Systems is. There's one more thing I want to show you, and that's probably the most important part, is now I want to try to summarize. OneVue has all of these layers, right? We have the grid layer, we have the native environment layer, we have all of these different layers of data from all of these different systems coming into the OneVue interface. I'm sorry. And here now we want to have the IBM Watson to work at the top layer of all of the data sets. Now, with the IBM Watson at the top layer, it can see everything. It can see everything for each and every patient. It can see all of the research that the doctors do. It can see all of the diagnoses. It can see the medications. It can see the pathology reports. It can see the specimens where the pathology reports were made. But now the doctor can make a simple request to IBM Watson and ask it intelligent questions by summarizing and composing actual answers for each and every one of the patients without the doctor even having to look up the information. Now that's powerful. We know that the system has collected all of the data, but now Watson can provide specific answers based on all this data made available to it and truly be an assistant to the doctors and the practitioners and or even to the administrative services of the healthcare system. So this POC is designed for pathology in healthcare, but it can be designed for oncology, for radiology, and all of the other departments, including administration, across the entire healthcare organization and even across the entire healthcare industry. Allow me to type a question to Watson just so you can see. I'll just do a simple sample. So this Watson is designed for healthcare. So it'll give me healthcare answers. What is anatomic pathology? So looking at the data, it says anatomic pathology is often abbreviated as AP, is a medical specialty that deals with the examination of organs, tissues, and bodily fluids. That is precisely correct. But we've trained this Watson to look at medical and or healthcare data. But it can also look at information for each and every patient. Well, we don't have time for that today, but we'll love to show it to you if you want to know more. As it says here, ask me to get files. Ask me for patient data. It can do all of that. This is the improvement we've made for healthcare systems with IBM Watson X technologies. Thank you for listening.